What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So big last minute change to the UFC 311 main event as Islam Makhachev will now be taking on Renato Moicano. Arman Tsarukyan pulled out with a back injury, so Moicano steps up. So I'm going to quickly talk about Arman's situation. Will he still get a title fight after this? Then I'm going to go down to my breakdown and my prediction of the fight. And then lastly I'll talk about where Islam and Moicano go after this fight. So Arman Tsarukyan apparently injured his back a week before the fight in training camp. And the pain was manageable for the first couple of days, but then when he was going through the weight cut, it really couldn't be managed anymore. He had back flare-ups in these last couple of days, especially during the press conference. He had to go see a doctor. He couldn't keep cutting those last few pounds, so essentially he had to pull out. Now, do I still think Arman Tsarukyan will get the title shot in the future? I'll say probably yes. I think Islam will fight 3 times this year. After this fight in January with Moicano, probably in June, another title fight then. And then maybe October in Abu Dhabi. And in that fight in June, I think it'll be a little too early to move up to welterweight. I think Belal and Shavkat will fight in April or May. The winner won't have enough time to turn around and fight Islam in June. So I think they'll do Islam versus Arman in June. However, if Charles Oliveira does get the title shot, I wouldn't be surprised or opposed at all. But now let's go into the breakdown of the fight. Islam versus Money Moicano, the man who can't afford to lose. Now on a real, I think Renato Moicano has nothing to lose in this fight. He's the biggest underdog in UFC title fight history. He's the number 10 ranked guy going against the pound for pound number 1. I think he's just going to absolutely dog it out and go for the upset. Now the good thing for Moicano is he's been preparing for a very similar style of opponent. Beneil Dariush, he's primarily a grappler. He's got a really good straight left hand. He's a southpaw just like Islam Makhachev. Now that was a 3-round fight, and I don't have to tell you that Islam is obviously better than Beneil, but Moicano's been preparing for the right style. Now, Islam, I think he's got the advantage pretty much everywhere. Let's start with the striking. He's got a great straight left hand. We saw that in the Dustin Poirier fight. Really good check hook. I think that's a shot he dropped Charles Oliveira with right before he won the title. Great kicks going back to the Alexander Volkanovski KO. Moicano isn't a bad striker, but he has been knocked out by the top strikers he's fought. Jose Aldo, the Korean Zombie, and Rafael Fiziev. And when it comes to the grappling, Moicano obviously has some great BJJ, but Islam's got the better takedowns, better takedown defense, much better ground control. I think Islam will try to take him down early and really impose his will. Maybe go for a submission like a Kimura or a head and arm choke. I actually don't think Moicano will give up the back, being a BJJ specialist, but Islam will definitely chase submission. And then when it comes to the fight IQ, they're also worlds apart. Moicano, he can be dragged into a brawl, whereas Islam, he's a lot more methodical. He's going to set up his shots, go for the takedowns. In the Dustin Poirier fight, he did make some mistakes, but they weren't glaring stuff. It was more positional. So my prediction is going to be a not so bold one. I've got Islam by a first round submission. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked out Moicano in the first or second round. I do think Islam is a much better striker, but I favor a submission. The way I see the fight playing out is I think Islam will strike for the first 30 seconds, maybe a minute, outstrike Moicano on the feet, and then he's going to take him down and chase submission. Moicano, he won't give it the back. So if I had to guess the submission, I'm going to go with a bit bolder take here. I'll go with Kimura, which is pretty rare in title fights. I think Islam will grab a hold of the arm and find the finish. So where do both of these guys go after the fight? Well, let's start with if Money Moicano somehow pulls off the miracle. It would be the biggest upset in UFC title fight history. I'm sure there'd be an immediate rematch. I can't see the pound for pound number 1 Islam not getting a rematch on a short notice fight. But Moicano would be maybe a top 5 pound for pound fighter. Just imagine if he's right there with guys like Ilia Topuria and John Jones. And if Islam wins, it's the expected right. He would break the lightweight record for most title wins. That does mean a lot, even though beating Arman Tsarukyan would have done more for his legacy than a win over Renato Moicano. But I think it's safe to say that if he beats Moicano, regardless of the number 10 ranking and the short notice fight, he would be cemented as the lightweight GOAT. And in terms of who Islam would fight next, I do think it'll be the Arman Tsarukyan rematch. I know he wants to move up to welterweight, get that second belt, but I think that time frame doesn't align with Belal versus Shavkat. I see Muhammad and Rakhmonov fighting in maybe April or May. A little too early to turn around and fight Islam, probably in June. So I think they'll do Islam versus Arman in June. Maybe if Shavkat beats Belal, we'll see Islam versus Shavkat for the welterweight title in October. But anyways, that was my breakdown and prediction. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll be doing a UFC 311 recap video and fights to make tomorrow. A lot more videos coming out soon, especially since TikTok is getting banned. If you're new here, like, subscribe, stay up to date. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.